They thought she was in the wrong seat, but the real mistake cost them $700 million. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. Jordan Reese moved through Terminal 7 like she'd done it 100 times. Black pantsuit, clean lines, no noise, a carry-on in one hand, a tablet in the other. She didn't wear flashy brands or loud makeup. She didn't need to. The red-eye flight to New York was boarding. First class was called. Jordan stepped forward. "Boarding pass, please," the gate agent said, smiling at the man ahead of her. He scanned his phone. She waved him through. Then Jordan held out her own. The smile faded. "Ma'am, this is first class," the agent said, confused. "I know," Jordan said calmly. The woman looked at the ticket, scanned it, looked again. Her voice dropped. "Are you sure this is your pass?" Jordan stayed still. "Yes." Another pause. Then the agent stepped back and waved over a second employee. Now 2 people were checking the same ticket. People in line began to stare. A man behind her sighed. "What's the hold-up?" The second employee leaned in. "Do you have ID, ma'am?" Jordan raised her eyebrows. "Why?" "For verification." Jordan slowly pulled out her driver's license. California issued. Clear. Clean. They studied it for longer than necessary. Then, over the radio, "Security to gate 71A, please." Jordan heard it before they even said anything else. She looked down at her boarding pass one more time, then looked up. "I paid for this seat," she said. But by now, 2 airport security officers had arrived. "Step over here, please." She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. She stepped aside. Quiet. Straight spine. Eyes steady. The crowd parted like they always do, wide enough to avoid the discomfort, not wide enough to stop it. Among them was Mark Chin. He was in line 2, suit jacket off, headphones around his neck, ticket in hand. He watched the whole thing. Did nothing. Jordan was escorted to the customer service desk. They offered her a seat on the next flight. Economy. No apology. She said nothing, just took the new boarding pass and walked away. Later that night, she sat near gate 72, sipping lukewarm tea from a paper cup. Her phone buzzed. A reminder flashed across the screen. 8 a.m. Final contract meeting with Breitner Equity. $700 million. She smiled just barely, then closed the notification and leaned back in her chair. The next morning, Mark stood in the lobby of a sleek Manhattan office tower. The deal room was ready. The numbers had been cleared. All they needed was Jordan Reese. He adjusted his tie and checked his watch. She walked in at exactly 7:59 a.m. Flawless. On time. Like nothing had happened. Mark nodded. "Ms. Reese." She returned the nod. Short. Cool. Nothing more. But her eyes said, "I remember." Have you ever been treated differently because of how you look? Before anyone knew who you were? Drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. Backhand index pointing down. The glass conference room looked out over the Manhattan skyline. Polished floors. Coffee carts. A long white table with sleek chairs. Everything was ready. Except the mood. Jordan walked in wearing navy blue. No bright colors. No emotion on her face. Just stillness. Behind her, 2 members of her legal team followed. Calm. Professional. Mark stood and extended his hand. "Jordan," he said, "it's good to finally meet in person." She looked at his hand, paused for just a second, then shook it. "Likewise." He motioned to the seat beside him. She chose one farther down. They got started. The meeting was about the final review. Breitner Equity was set to buy 48% of Reese Tech, a $700 million investment. It would shift the company's future, bring Jordan into global markets, and cement her as a top CEO in tech. Mark reviewed the offer points with ease. He didn't bring up the airport. Not once. Jordan didn't either. But she didn't look at him much. She asked her questions slowly, clearly, and without small talk. Every word had weight. Every silence had shape. After an hour, Mark excused himself to take a call. Outside the room, his assistant followed him. "You okay?" she asked. Mark nodded. "Yeah, I feel like I said the wrong thing." She raised an eyebrow. "You haven't said anything." "Exactly." Back inside, Jordan sat with her team. One of them leaned close and whispered, "You sure you want this deal?" Jordan tapped her pen twice on the table. "Not yes, not no. Not if it comes without respect," she said. When Mark returned, Jordan closed her folder. "I'd like a 24-hour window before we sign," she said. Mark blinked. "Is something off?" She smiled. "Just enough to be polite." "No. I just believe in reading things twice." He nodded. "Of course." She stood and shook hands again. This time first. "Thank you for your time." Mark walked her to the elevator. They stood side by side in silence. When the doors opened, she stepped in. He paused. "I'm sorry about." She looked at him. "You weren't the one who called security." "No," he said quietly. "But I didn't stop it either." She nodded once, and the doors closed. The next morning, the meeting moved to Jordan's side of the table. Reese Tech's New York office was smaller, warmer. No glass walls, no city view, just quiet strength. Jordan walked in with a notebook. Her legal team was already seated. Her assistant handed her a tablet and coffee. She didn't rush. Mark arrived a few minutes later. "Good morning," he said. Jordan nodded. "Let's begin." They reviewed the offer line by line. Revenue split, licensing, voting rights, all standard, until Jordan reached the equity clause. Her finger tapped the screen twice. "I want a revision." Mark looked over. "Which section?" "Section 8.2. I want to add an ethical investment condition." He frowned slightly. "That's not standard." "I'm not standard," she said. Mark cleared his throat. "Do you mind expanding?" "I'd like to add a policy," she said. "Any firm partnering with Reese Tech must have a documented anti-discrimination procedure in place. Not just HR training. Real proof." Mark blinked. "We've always had general policies. I'm asking for measurable ones." He hesitated. "That could delay the close." Jordan looked at him. "I'm not the one rushing." Her voice was steady. Not cold. Not angry. Just clear. Mark sat back. His team exchanged glances. "This might spook the board," he said quietly. Jordan nodded. "Sometimes the board needs a wake-up call." They moved on. Finished the rest. At the end, she stood. "I'll wait for your revised draft," she said. "We can continue once it's ready." Mark stayed seated. "You're not making this easy." Jordan smiled, small and sharp. "I wasn't hired to be easy. I was built to be thorough." She left the room without another word. Back at his hotel, Mark looked at the old offer sheet. Then the headlines on his phone. The airport video had surfaced. It was already circling small business blogs and activist networks. No names were listed, but he recognized her voice in the background. Calm, firm, disrespected. That night, he sat in the hotel bar, watching the screen behind the counter. A business anchor said, "If the clip's real, it's a lesson in how not to handle a paying customer." Another added, "And if that customer holds a $700 million deal in her hands, that's not just a mistake. That's a message." The clip hit Twitter at 6:14 a.m. A blurry video, filmed on a phone from a few rows back. Jordan standing at the gate. Calm. Confused. Two employees whispering. Security stepping in. No yelling. No chaos. Just a quiet removal. The caption read, "This woman was escorted off a first-class flight because they didn't believe her ticket." By 8 a.m., the video had over 400,000 views. By noon, it was on national news. Black CEO removed from first class over ticket confusion. No apology issued. No mistake admitted. Her name wasn't in the first wave, but people started putting it together. Tech blogs recognized her face. Business writers tagged Reese Tech. Someone found the flight number. Cross-referenced the schedule. By 3 p.m., #Jordan Reese was trending. Mark sat in his firm's media room, eyes fixed on the screen. His PR lead looked pale. "We need a statement," she said. He nodded slowly. "From who? You? Us? Her? Everyone." Reese Tech posted nothing. No tweets. No press release. No response. Just silence. By evening, the Financial Daily ran a front-page op-ed. "When money isn't enough to matter, Jordan Reese doesn't need to prove herself." But the system just proved itself again. Mark called his CEO. "We may need to push signing," he said. "Why?" "She's asking for revised terms. Ethical clauses. Pause on the line. Didn't we already clear that part? She wants more." The CEO sighed. "We don't owe her anything extra." Mark was quiet, then said, "Maybe we do." That night, Jordan sat in her apartment. No TV. No phone buzzing. Just quiet. Her assistant had texted, "You want us to respond?" Jordan replied, "No. Let them speak first." She opened her laptop, typed a new policy draft, Corporate Equity Accountability Clause. She didn't rush it, just started shaping the future while the world watched her past. The boardroom was colder than usual. Not the temperature, the energy. Jordan sat at the far end. Same posture, same presence. But this time something had shifted. Mark could feel it before she spoke. "We reviewed the final draft," she said. Mark nodded. "Everything looks in place on our end." Jordan clicked her pen once. "Our end has changed." Mark straightened. "We added your ethical clause." "I read it," she said. "It was light. We mirrored industry language." Jordan tilted her head slightly. "That's the problem." Her lead counsel passed out a single-page document. Jordan continued, "We've created a revised clause. Measurable actions. Yearly reporting. Partner accountability." Mark's legal team glanced at the paper. Quiet flipping. Careful eyes. Then came the sentence that froze the air. "Until this clause is accepted in full, the agreement will be paused." Not delayed. Paused. No date. No handshake. No check signed. Just quiet control. Mark cleared his throat. "You're serious?" "Yes," Jordan said. "Very." Silence stretched across the table. Someone reached for coffee. Missed the handle. Tried again. Jordan didn't blink. "This isn't personal," she added. "It's structural." Mark leaned forward. "This deal is worth $700 million. "I know," she said. "You'd risk all of it?" "I'm not risking anything. I'm choosing something." More silence. This time not awkward, respectful. No one interrupted her again. She closed her folder and stood. "You know where to find me," she said. Mark stood too. "Jordan." She paused. "I'm not angry," she said. "I'm just done pretending." She left the room. No press statement. No loud headline. Just a message they'd never forget. That afternoon, her assistant posted one line on Reese Tech's page. "We lead how we live. With integrity. Would you walk away from millions if it meant standing up for what's right? Let's talk about it. Drop your answer below." Backhand index pointing down. By the end of the week, Jordan's name was everywhere. She hadn't given a single interview. But the story told itself. CEO pauses $700 million deal over weak equity policies. Reese freezes partnership after boarding incident goes viral. She didn't raise her voice. She raised the standard. Business sites wrote about leadership. News anchors debated company ethics. Social media called her the calm revolution. Inside Breitner Equities offices, the energy had changed. Mark's inbox was full. Not just from reporters but from other companies. Some asked for comment. Others asked if the clause could be shared. His CEO wasn't thrilled. "This isn't our job," the man said. "We do deals, not social statements." Mark looked at him. "Maybe we should do both." He spent the next day reviewing the revised clause Jordan had submitted. It was detailed but clear. A yearly equity report. An internal equity board. Required third-party audits for partner firms. It wasn't just legal. It was right. By Friday, Breitner released a short statement. We respect the standards set by Tech and are reviewing our internal practices to reflect the values we share. Mark added his own line at the end. Growth doesn't stop with numbers. It starts with people. That evening, he sent Jordan a message. Just one sentence. Would you be open to meeting again? No papers, just perspective? She replied a few hours later. If you're listening, not just talking, yes. They met at a quiet cafe near Bryant Park. No suits, no assistants, no tension. Just two people who had seen the world tilt. I've been thinking, Mark said. Jordan sipped her tea. Waited. I didn't say anything at the gate. I thought staying quiet made me neutral. It doesn't, she said gently. It makes you part of the silence. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry. She didn't respond right away. Then said, thank you. They sat for a while longer. Mark asked questions. Not about the deal, about her journey, her vision, what she saw that others missed. He listened, and for once he didn't interrupt. The ballroom at the DC Hilton was filled with leaders from every corner of business. Tech, finance, law, startups, government. Everyone was here for one reason: the future of fair partnerships. And for the first time in the event's 10-year history, the keynote speaker wasn't a man in a navy suit. It was Jordan Reese. Mark arrived early. He sat in the 5th row, not the front. He didn't want to be seen. He wanted to listen. Jordan stepped onto the stage without notes. Just a clear mind and a clear reason. Thank you for the invitation, she began. And thank you for making space. Not just for me, but for what I represent. The room quieted. Not out of obligation, out of respect. I'm not here today because I was removed from a flight, she said. I'm here because I didn't remove myself from the room afterward. She let the silence settle before continuing. When things go wrong in public, we tend to think that's the moment that matters. But it's what happens in private afterward that defines who we are. She paused. The morning after that flight, I walked into a meeting where I was expected to smile and sign. I didn't smile, and I didn't sign. Soft laughter from the crowd, not mocking. Supportive. I didn't walk away because I was angry. I pressed pause because the offer was missing something important. She looked out over the crowd. Values. People leaned forward. I believe in business. I believe in strategy. But I also believe that if our systems don't hold up the people inside them, then they're broken no matter how clean the numbers look. A few nods. Then more. Mark watched from his seat. Not proud, not nervous, just learning. Jordan took a breath. That's why Tech is rolling out the Equity Accountability Clause as a model. Open source. Free to adopt. No press releases needed. Just real change. She looked directly into the camera lens in front of her. If you want to partner with us, we welcome it. If you don't, we'll still be here. Applause broke out. Not polite. Earned. After the panel, people formed a quiet line just to shake her hand. Jordan stood tall. Steady. Present. One by one, they thanked her. Mark didn't approach. He waited until the room was almost clear, then walked over slowly. She turned before he spoke. Good to see you here, she said. He smiled. I was supposed to speak, he said. I gave up the slot. She raised an eyebrow. Why? Felt like it wasn't mine. They stood there for a moment. Then Jordan offered her hand. This time he didn't hesitate. A week passed after the forum. Jordan didn't post anything. She didn't need to. The video of her speech had over 2 million views. And the emails began pouring in. Not just praise. Partnerships. Legal firms. Investment groups. Tech startups. All asking the same question. Can we license your clause? Can we meet to align our terms? Can we be part of this? Jordan read every message. She didn't answer all of them. She wasn't looking for attention. She was looking for alignment. Her assistant knocked on the glass door. 3 more partnership requests this morning. Jordan glanced up from her notes. Tell them we're not taking calls this week. The assistant nodded. Should I say why? Say we're reviewing our values before we review offers. Across town, Mark watched the response unfold. He wasn't bitter. He was impressed. Reese Tech hadn't made a single marketing move. And yet, the world was watching. Brightener equity hadn't been dropped. The deal was still paused. But Jordan hadn't asked for updates. And Mark hadn't pushed. One afternoon, his phone buzzed. Jordan Reese calling. He answered on the second ring. "Jordan, I'm reopening our deal review," she said. "But I'm adjusting the numbers." He blinked. "Up or down?" "Not financial numbers," she said. "Representation, oversight, language." Mark didn't argue. He just said, "Send what you need. I'll make sure it's seen." That night, Jordan sat in her office alone. She opened her laptop. At the top of a clean document, she typed, "New terms of power." Then she leaned back and closed her eyes. She didn't need to win anyone over. She didn't need to prove anything. She just needed to stay true. Jordan arrived at JFK 2 hours early. Same carry-on. Same quiet steps. The terminal hadn't changed, but she had. The gate agent scanned her pass. "Welcome, Ms. Reese," the woman said with a smile. "You're in 1A. Let me know if you need anything." No second glance. No hesitation. Just respect. Jordan nodded. "Thank you." She boarded early. First class. Window seat. 1A. She sat down, placed her tablet in the side pocket, and closed her eyes. It wasn't about comfort. It was about belonging. A few minutes later, someone walked past her row. Jordan didn't look up right away. Then she heard a quiet voice say, "Looks like they got it right this time." It was Mark. He had seat 8C. Economy Plus. He gave a small nod and moved past without stopping. No wave. No apology. Just understanding. The plane filled. Jordan didn't open her laptop. She didn't check her phone. She just sat there, still peaceful. A flight attendant came by. "Would you like anything to drink before takeoff?" Jordan smiled. "Water's fine." She looked out the window as the plane pulled back. Clouds ahead. A city behind. And in between, her silence. Her stand. Her seat. She didn't win with volume. She won by staying steady when others shifted. By pausing when it mattered. And by knowing exactly when to speak. As the plane rose into the sky, Jordan leaned back and closed her eyes. She wasn't proving anything anymore. She was just going home. Have you ever had a full-circle moment where life gave you the seat you were always meant to have? Drop your story below. Let's hold space for those wins. Backhand index pointing down. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed the story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.